观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看《洋厨房卖家秀买家秀》，我是刘烨。在日常生活当中呢，很多人都会担心吃的太多会影响自己的身材。其实呢，要告诉大家这大可不必，自己的身材自己做主，吃的健康那就可以了。那我们今天的卖家秀也会给您推荐一些好吃又不易发胖的美食哦。
I'm having the most satisfying breakfast ever with Nick on the farm, sinking our teeth into a Midwest classic with an early morning twist. I'm obsessed. My super cheesy breakfast Juicy Lucy's. Then I'm putting together a picnic for my girlfriends, a little carb-on-carb action for maximum satisfaction. They'll love my crispy fried bologna sandwiches with creamy pickle dip spread. I would marry this sandwich. And a big pile of fresh and bright falafel farfalle on the side. Plus, for dessert, my colorful tie-dye cookies are gooey in the center and groovy all the way through. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, holy cow. Hey, this is me, Molly A. This is my husband, Nick. This is our new addition. And this is our home, our farm on the North Dakota-Minnesota border. The place where I eat, sleep, and breathe food. Hello, little dumplings.
I'm having a picnic by the river with my friends today, but before I get lost in my cute basket of food, I need a mighty morning meal. So I'm making my breakfast Juicy Lucy's, which are a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich where the cheese is on the inside of the meat. You can use store-bought sausage here, but I really like making my own. So to start, I have a pound of ground pork, and I'm spreading it out in my bowl to increase the surface area, and that's gonna help the spices distribute. I'll season with 3/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. I'm gonna add a few passes of nutmeg for just a little bit of warmth, a good pinch of crushed red pepper, and then a ½ teaspoon each of fennel seeds, dried sage, and dried thyme. And the combination of those three just screams sausage. And then 1½ teaspoons of brown sugar for that perfect hint of sweetness. And now I'll mix this together with my hands. I don't want to overmix it and make the meat tough. I just want to get all these spices to distribute. And if you wanted to use ground turkey or ground chicken, you could totally change up the meat. I'm going to divide this into 4 equal pieces. It'll make 4 nice big sandwiches. 1 for me, 1 for Bernie, 2 for Nick. I'll take a ball of meat, and I'm going to create a divot in the center, and that's where the cheese is going to go. So this is a breakfast version of the classic Minnesota Juicy Lucy burger. I really love it because it puts the emphasis on the cheese. You can really see it and enjoy it. Whereas sometimes with traditional cheeseburgers, I feel like the cheese gets kind of lost in some of the toppings. But Juicy Lucy's are the best. And I'll take a slice of cheese. I'm using American cheese here because I love American cheese on my breakfast sandwiches. And it gets extra melty. I'll place it right in the divot. And then I'll pinch the edges of the meat around the cheese to fully encase it, like a meat dumpling. I'll keep on forming my patties. I'll wash up. Okay. I'm gonna season the outside of my patties with salt and pepper, and that'll help them get that nice brown crust, which is so tasty. I've got my pan heating here over medium-high, and I'm not gonna add any oil because there is quite a bit of fat in the sausage already. And I'll cook these on both sides until they're browned and fully cooked through and extra melty. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Let me season the other side. Nick normally averages like 3 breakfasts because he wakes up and gets out to the field so early. This is gonna be the best breakfast of his morning, I know it. Oh yeah, that's some good color on there. And all the fat that's coming out of them, I'm gonna use that to cook the eggs. The sausage is looking good. I'll get it off the pan. These are gonna be good. I can smell how crispy these are. All right, while my pan is still hot, I'm gonna crack the eggs in. I've got these cute ring molds here, which will help them get perfectly round, and then they'll stack up so nicely with the English muffin. But if you didn't have a ring mold, you can use a biscuit cutter. I'll crack these in. I'll cover these and I'll let them cook until they are fully set. And grab my English muffins. They're broiling in the oven. They're beautiful, perfectly toasty and buttery. I've got to have hot sauce on my eggs. And I've got some fun paper and stickers to wrap these up. We'll see if Nick notices. I'll notice. Okay, the eggs look great. I'll lift up my ring mold. Oh yeah, look how gorgeous those are. I'll season with salt and pepper. All right, I'm ready to stack them up. I'll grab my sausage. And then the egg. This egg is so circular. I'm obsessed. I'll add a smiley face of sriracha. It'll be the perfect amount. A lot of foods in my life have smiley faces these days. I'll give you one guess why. Okay, it's time for my very big, very favorite secret about breakfast sandwiches. Whenever I'm making them, no matter if we're eating them in a field or eating them right here at the table, I always finish them off by wrapping them in wax paper or foil or a kitchen towel, and that's so that everything can steam and meld together and then the bread gets a little soft. It tastes like you just got it from a drive-thru in the best way possible. It just needs to sit for a few minutes wrapped up, and then it's ready to eat. I've got some cute stickers here. Wow, there's a lot of cuteness in this day. And then flip it over and decorate with another sticker. This is my little drawing of a Juicy Lucy. That way Nick knows what's inside. Ta-da! I can feel it steaming already. All right, I'm gonna hurry up and get together the rest of these so that I can have a hot breakfast with my cool husband.
Wow. I found the cheese. You made my day.
Oh, good. Okay, well, good luck harvesting.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
I love a picnic because the food is always so cute. And you've got to have a dessert that travels well. So I'm making my tie-dye cookies, which are going to be crunchy and sweet on the outside and still super gooey in the center. I make an edible cookie dough first and then color it with food coloring, roll it into balls, and bake, but not for too long. To start, I've got some flour that I've heated in my microwave, and that makes it safe to eat raw. I've just microwaved it for a few 30-second increments, and I've whisked it in between because it does have the tendency to clump up. All right, this is broken up. I'm gonna add the remaining dry ingredients. I've got 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and then a teaspoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of baking soda. I'll whisk this to combine. My dry ingredients are mixed, and I'll get going on the wet ingredients. I love using cream cheese in my sugar cookie dough. It makes it a little softer and contributes this tanginess that is so delicious. I'm using 4 ounces. And then I'll add 3/4 of a cup of softened unsalted butter. And then 1 cup of sugar. I'll get this onto my stand mixer, and I'll just beat it until it's fluffy. While this continues to beat, I'll grab some applesauce. This looks great. So I'm not adding any eggs to this dough. I want it to be safe to eat while it's raw. And instead of eggs, I'm gonna use applesauce, and that's gonna make up for the liquid that's lost without the eggs. A 1/4 cup will be just enough. I'll mix to combine. And then I'll flavor this with 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract and a 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. And now I'll add the dry ingredients gradually. So this was one of the first big baking art projects that I ever did with Bernie. She loves play clay, and I thought it would be fun to make some we could eat. And she was obsessed. This is such a fun thing to do with kids. Okay, my dough has come together, and now I'm gonna grab my food coloring to make these cookies tie-dye. So to color my dough, I have some gloves because I don't want to dye my hands. And I'm going to start with the lightest color first. So I'll start with my yellow. And then I'll just mush the dough together to get the food coloring evenly distributed. It's a nice soft dough to work with. And I'm doing primary colors because maybe Bernie can start learning color theory. All right, this is a nice even yellow color. Next, I'll do the blue. And lastly, the red. And if you don't have gloves, or if your hands are too small for gloves, and if you're a little kid, you can just put the dough into a plastic bag with the food coloring and mush it right in there. These colors look awesome. I'm gonna save some of each color for Bernie to play with later. And these will keep in the fridge for a couple of days, so we can have lots of playtime with these. Now to shape my cookies, I'm gonna roll them each into long, skinny snakes. And they don't need to be perfect because eventually they're gonna be rolled into balls. All right, now that I have my snakes, I'm gonna grab a bench scraper. And I want 6 cookies, so I'm gonna divide the snakes into 6 even pieces. And to make them tie-dye, I'm gonna take one of each color and then twist them together and then roll into a ball. These are nice big cookies. Like that. I'm gonna get some sanding sugar, and this is gonna look sparkly on the outside and add some sweet crunchiness. I'll roll my dough ball in to coat fully. I'll get this onto my baking sheet, and then I'm gonna flatten it slightly. I'm so happy. Okay, I'll keep on shaping. I'm so excited about these. I'm gonna bake them at 375 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes, just until they're very lightly browned on bottom. They'll still be gooey in the center. They look so big and happy. And I don't even need to worry about if they're done in the middle because they're supposed to be a little raw, and that's okay. I'm gonna taste one. Here I go. Oh yeah, it's so gooey still. That's awesome. They're like sweet and crunchy on the outside and so doughy and good on the inside. These are making me feel all kinds of groovy. Hello. I'm having a riverside picnic with my friends, and I would get kicked off the blanket if I didn't bring pasta salad. So I'm making my falafel farfalle. I'm using all of the flavors in falafel that I love and tossing them with Bowtie Noodles. To get started, I've got my pasta cooking in salted water. And whenever I make pasta salad, I like to cook the noodles really soft, a couple of minutes past what the directions on the box say, because when the noodles cool, they'll firm up a little bit. My pasta is ready to drain. And I'll just let this hang out while I toast my chickpeas. I'll heat a skillet over medium-high and add a drizzle of olive oil. This is just canned chickpeas that I've drained and dried really well. Okay. I'll let these cook, and I want to toss them only very occasionally because I want them to develop some nice brown color and good crisp texture on the outside. In the meantime, I'll grab my spices. I'll add a teaspoon of cumin. You've got to have cumin in falafel. It just adds some great savory notes. I'll add a teaspoon of coriander. It's a little citrusy, just so good. And then you don't always find cinnamon in falafel, but I find that cinnamon complements coriander and cumin so nicely and adds some warm tones. I'm gonna add just a little bit, just a quarter teaspoon. I'll season with salt and pepper. And then I'll let these chickpeas go for another couple of minutes so that the spices can toast. I'll continue to let these crisp while I make my dressing. This is a dead simple garlic and lemon dressing. I'm gonna build it right in the bowl that I'm serving it in, and it'll just bring out the delicious falafel-y flavors. I start with the zest and juice of half a lemon, a few cloves of garlic grated right in, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and salt and pepper. And then I'll whisk it together. And this is gonna give the noodles that perfect dewy glow. Let me grab them. I'll toss these right in. They're so glossy. Okay, my chickpeas look great. I'll let them cool for a little bit. They'll continue to crisp. And in the meantime, I'll grab my veggies, herbs, and cheese, and then toss this salad together. I start by piling in some quartered grape tomatoes, some sliced red onion, a few ovals of Persian cucumbers. I'll add in about 4 ounces of feta cheese. I'm gonna reserve some for the top though. This is just gonna add so much delicious saltiness. And loads of fresh herbs. I've got a mix of chopped parsley, cilantro, and mint. And I'll toss to combine. You could just give me this big bowl and I'd be happy. And now I like to add the chickpeas on top so that they retain their texture. So I'll just pile those on. Some more feta. Oh, that's so pretty. I love all the colors in this. Let me taste this. It blows my mind how much flavor can be in one bite of pasta salad. A salad that's actually a pasta? Yes, please. It's almost time to pack up for my picnic, but first I have to put together an outrageous sandwich. I am making my pickle dip fried bologna sandwiches. I fry the bologna, make a pickle dip spread, and sandwich it all together with potato chips. I have my bologna frying here in a couple of tablespoons of butter, and it gets kind of curly around the edges, which is so good, and it's kind of crispy. I'll transfer it now to my paper towel to soak up any excess grease. I once, when I was little, auditioned for a bologna commercial. I didn't get it. I dressed up as a pig, and I brought like a stuffed cow and I sang the bologna song. I just never grew out of my bologna phase. I'm gonna make my pickle dip now. This is no phony bologna dip. Pickle dip is this classic Midwest party food that is totally addictive. I start with a 1/4 cup of ranch dressing, a little sriracha for heat, tangy softened cream cheese, shredded Havarti for a slight funk, a few chopped dill pickles, and fresh grassy dill. Finish with a little pickle brine to amp up that pickly flavor, and mash it up to combine. I'll grab the rest of my fillings and toast and put these sandwiches together. I've got chips and lettuce for crunch on crunch, and this toast has already been buttered and toasted. I'm gonna spread 2 slices with the pickle dip spread. That way you get more of it. And it also helps it all stay together. I want a thick layer. And I mean, this would just be a really good sandwich with only the pickle dip. I'm gonna add a layer of lettuce to one of my slices for good cooling crunch. And now 3 slices of bologna will be the perfect amount. And chips for more crunchy saltiness. I mean, I don't know, just why not go for it? It's just gonna be one of those meals. God, I love this sandwich so much. I would marry this sandwich. I'm gonna sandwich them together. And I'm gonna smush it down so that it all just secures. And then I'm gonna cut it. Did you hear that sound? That was a good crunch. I have these cute little picks to hold them together, because you have to get cute for a picnic. There we go. Holy buckets. Look at that cross section. I need to taste this right now. Nick is super busy harvesting his first round of sugar beets, which means that he needs some extra cozy pep in his dinner step. So I'm making my spiced beef hot dish with bacon jalapeno cornbread. It is comfort food at its finest. It's meaty with a sweet and spiced warmth. Gives me all the feels. To get started, I'm crisping up some bacon because I'm gonna use the bacon fat to brown my beef. And then later, I'll use the actual bacon to go in my cornbread. And I'm doing this all in a brazier that's gonna get stuck in the oven. So this all is built in one pot. My bacon is looking really crispy. I'll transfer it to a paper towel. I'll season my beef now. I have 3 pounds of beef chuck that's been cut into cubes. Now I'm gonna brown this in batches. And that is the sizzle that I want to hear. If I add too much meat, it's gonna lower the temperature of the pan and I'm not gonna get that crust. So just be patient with this. This stew is inspired by my love of making chili and cornbread in this same pot. So you have less dishes that way. And then you also have all of those textures. You have the stewy chili, that golden cornbread, and then in the middle, there's that magic where the cornbread soaks up the chili. It's so good. It is the definition of hearty harvest food. Okay, my meat is looking great right now. It's really beautifully browned. I'm gonna transfer this to a dish now, and then I'm gonna continue browning the rest of my meat. And at this point, it's not fully cooked, but it's gonna continue to cook once I get it in the stew, and then it'll melt right down and get so tender. My meat is finished. Time for my veggies. I'll add my chopped onion, carrot, and jalapeno. And the carrot is gonna add really nice sweetness. And these pieces, once this is done cooking, are gonna fall apart and be so tender. Now I'm gonna add one of my favorite parts about this stew, golden raisins. I know, this is unexpected, but golden raisins add these surprise pops of sweet glee that go with the baharat and make it sing. I'm gonna add half a cup of golden raisins. And they're gonna plump up in this liquid and get juicy and become almost like meaty candy, which is a good thing. And lastly, a couple of cans of chickpeas. And these add a creamy richness and also more protein. Nick is gonna love it. Let me stir this in. I love that this all comes together in the same pot. This is so beautiful. I also love all the colors in this and the textures. And I'll season with some more salt and pepper. And then I'm gonna simmer this for 1 to 1.5 hours and let the flavors marry and this meat get fall apart tender. I can't wait. I've got my beef stew braising away. The only thing left to do is prepare my cornbread topping. Oh, I should have made more so I could eat it right now. I'm getting really hungry. Now I'll fold it all together, and that's it. This looks great. Now I'm gonna dollop it all over my stew. It melts in your mouth, explodes with flavor, and that hint of sweetness is perfection. All right, I've got my scoop for the cornbread, and I'm gonna dollop my cornbread all over the top. And then bake it at 400 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes until it's golden brown. I can feel the comfort already. Oh yeah, baby. It's bubbly and that cornbread is so toasty. Before I serve it, I'll sprinkle it with some fresh parsley.
有了这一些好吃又不发胖的美食，您这下完全可以卸下心里的负担了。时间过得很快，今天的卖家秀和买家秀马上就要结束了。感谢您的收看，下周同一时间我们不见不散啦！